Darlings, 2020. What a shit show. I would like a refund. The good news is that I discovered so much new makeup and skincare that brought me a lot of joy, and I would love to chat to you about that. So let's start today with skincare, and then we'll move on to the makeup. I have two cleansers here that I absolutely adored. The IS Clinical Cleansing Complex and the Fresh Soy Face Cleanser. So look, here we go. I'm very fussy when it comes to my cleansers, you guys. I have this perfect medium that I'm looking for. A little bit of foam, not too much foam. I want something that is a gel that completely rinses clean. A film after my cleanser is like my pet peeve. I want it to cleanse my skin without stripping all my oils. And these products exactly fit that bill. They're both actually very similar in that they've got just enough foaming action to satisfy those of us who enjoy a foamy cleanser, but they're not so foamy that they strip the skin at all. Perhaps the only difference between the two is the smell to me. This one has a little bit more of a rose scent, and this one a little bit more of a generic skincare kind of smell. I have a moisturizer here from Antipodes. This is the Baptist H2O Ultra Hydrating Water Gel. It's no secret that I love a gel or a jelly moisturizer. And this is exactly that. It has this gorgeous bouncy jelly texture, and it feels like an absolute drink of water to the skin. So this year I battled with all sorts of skin concerns. One of them was oiliness. I'm still quite dehydrated on the surface, so my skin can sometimes look dry, but underneath there is a production of oil. It's a tricky skin type to treat, and I found that this gel moisturizer really did a great job of giving me that water burst and that drink of water that my skin needs without exacerbating that surface oiliness. Really enjoy that. It does have some botanical extracts and a moderately strong rose scent. So if that's something that you'd rather avoid, then you can skip that one. A moisturizer that I really loved for my body. First Aid Beauty Ultra Repair Cream. This is actually, you'd be forgiven for thinking like, oh, boring moisturizer. This stuff is brilliant for all sorts of skincare concerns. So occasionally I'll get a little bit of a dermatitis breakout, or I'll have a reaction to a product, or I'll get sort of scaly on my shoulders and my body. This is the moisturizer that I turn for those kinds of concerns. I've used it on my face as well, although it's my ideal body moisturizer of choice. And if you're someone who deals with dry, flaky skin anywhere, and you want something really gentle and bland but effective, this is amazing. I can't talk about skincare in 2020 without discussing Accutane. I started a low-dose Accutane 6 weeks ago after what felt like just this relentless battle with my acne. So the other thing that comes along with Accutane is perpetually shredded lips. I shit you not, you guys. I have 20 different lip balm formulas in all areas of my life. So one in my car, I've got a whole bunch around the studio, on my filming setup, in my bathroom at home, on my vanity, next to my bed, next to the front door. Like, there's lip balms everywhere. And I've tried so many, and this is the definitive list of the best lip balms. First of all, the Bite Beauty Nighttime Agave Lip Mask and the regular Agave Lip Mask, which they've just reformulated. I'm very upset about that. They've reformulated that, I believe, to remove the lanolin to make it a vegan formula. But this formula was, it was perfect. And then obviously the Laneige Lip Sleeping Mask. This is a product that I have been hooked on for years, and this Accutane experience has really just solidified to me how exceptional this lip balm is. It really softens the lips. It's one of the few lip balms that when I apply it before bed, the next morning, I can still feel lip balm on my lips. That stuff is bomb, and it comes in a few different scents depending on what you like. And then another one that I often wear during the day actually because it doubles as a really glossy lip look. This is the Kopari Lip Glossy. It has a very soft coconut smell, but I actually have an aversion to coconut, and this doesn't bother me. It's a very soft smell. And I love that this layers really beautifully over my nude lip liners to give a bit of a glossy vibe. And it also really softens any of the chaps so that my skin just feels a little bit more comfortable and soothed. Onto makeup, and I think that this might be the third year in a row that this foundation has trumped all others. This is the My Armani To Go Essence In Foundation Cushion. So I have this in two shades. I use number 4 down the center of my face and number 5.5 around the periphery of my face. And I find that that way I get like a softly sculpted, softly bronze complexion. My complexion isn't quite so flat. This has quite a dewy finish and a medium buildable coverage, so it can be quite worn, quite sheer for daytime, but then I pop this in my handbag and I'll add a little bit more coverage for evening. It's a very versatile formula. The only thing that kind of leaves me with a bad taste in my mouth is that the shade range is really small. I would really like to see Armani extend that shade range. I don't know if it's maybe because it's like an Asian exclusive product. I'm not going to speculate on that. I think in 2020 I used more concealer than I have in all the previous years combined. I have concealed hundreds of blemishes and so many dark under eyes. It's been a year for concealer for me, and I have many a favorite. So I think the one that really wowed me the most was the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Concealer. Initially I was using this under my eyes. Nay, it is not my favorite product for under the eyes. This stuff is incredible for blemishes. I find that a lot of times when you're concealing a blemish and you go to blend the concealer, it sort of blends away, right? It hasn't really set and it doesn't really stay put. Whereas I find that this formula almost has a tackiness or a stickiness that as you're blending, it really retains the coverage where you need it. So you don't have to keep kind of applying concealer and building that coverage. The coverage is all there. Also, another one that I really love for a completely different purpose. This is the Armani Luminous Silk Concealer. More of a medium coverage and it's got a really beautiful dewy finish. So if you are just popping out and you want a little bit of coverage around the mouth and under the eyes and just pat it out with fingers, this is your guy. Also, if you love that like hyper dewy, creamy skin vibes, this is your guy. It's definitely not for any hardcore concealing, but if you're wanting something a little bit sheer and a little bit dewy, that is beautiful. I've got the Kosas Revealer Concealer. I think that this is such a workhorse formula. I love it for under the eyes, I love it for blemishes, I love it for pigmentation, I like it for brightening regions of the face. I think it's a really well-considered formula. The finish is just perfect. So it's not super matte or drying, but it's not dewy or tacky either. I find that it settles down to a really beautiful satin finish that means that I don't have to powder it. And it's nice sometimes, I think, having the opportunity to forego powder. One of my critiques when I featured this in my Kosas brand review, which I'll link on somewhere on the screen here, one of my critiques was that the shade range ran very yellow. Good news, they've just released a whole bunch of new shades with some more pinker undertones. So make sure you go check that out. Love that Kosas concealer. And then I have two more concealers. The Hourglass Vanish Silk Concealer and the Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. These to me are actually quite comparable. I think in a blind test, I'm not sure I would be able to tell them apart. Both very creamy, very emollient, great coverage. So this would be great if you're someone who is looking for like a really meaty concealer that's not going to look too matte on the skin. For powder, look, my powder preferences actually are quite predictable. I love me a very finely milled silica powder, and that is exactly what the Pat McGrath under eye blurring powders are. I do like that these come in a few different shades, so sometimes I'll use the light shade just to kind of just mute any glossiness on my face. It won't mattify the skin entirely, but it just mutes the glossiness and it does a really beautiful job of blurring any pores or texture. So I often use the light just down the central portions of the face and under the eyes. Sometimes I enjoy medium. Perhaps my foundation shade is a little bit too light or the area under my eyes is perhaps looking a little bit stark. This is like my corrector shade. I'll often also take it around the eyeshadow to give that really soft focus blur edge to my eyeshadow. I adore it in the same way that I adore the Rouge Bunny Rouge Diaphanous, the By Terry hyaluronic powders, especially the tinted powders. These are all kind of favorites up there for me. I like to fancy myself a little bit of a mist connoisseur. Every year I have some infatuation with some face mist. And this year it is the Fenty What It Do Makeup Refreshing Spray. Let me tell you what I want in a mist. I want an uber fine mister. This stuff, you can't even feel it landing on your face. That's how fine it is. It never spits and it will never smudge your eye makeup. I love this for really settling any powders. I feel like it makes my makeup look more natural. I think because of that fine mist, it's hard to overdo it. It's really hard to overdo this mist, and trust me, I have tried. I feel like this also breathes life into my makeup if I need to kind of go from day till night. Delicious skin in a bottle. I would recommend that to all of my other mist connoisseurs out there. Let's talk about blush. I got really into blush, especially liquid blush this year. You know what I think it is? It's those bloody Instagram filters. All these Instagram filters started imparting me with this kind of rosiness on the tops of the cheekbones and across the nose for that really cute sun-kissed look. And I was like, hey, you know what? I think I could do this. I think I could do a very blushy look. And so that's kind of been my go-to. So I've got two favorite liquid blush formulas here. The M Cosmetics Serum blushes. These are so glossy. You guys, look, I love a glossy cheek. You know I love a little bit of a glossy bounce on the apple of my cheek. But even sometimes I find myself thinking, should I like powder this a little bit? It's an intensely glossy blush. They're moderately pigmented and quite easy to blend with fingers, although my favorite way to apply them is to actually go back with my cushion puff and just sort of tap out those edges. I think you can actually see that bounce there. It's not highlight, it's serum blush. Occasionally when I was looking for a less glossy cheek, sometimes you just don't want every stray hair to attach itself to your glossy blush. On those occasions, I really enjoyed the Acutane Juicy Pang Blusher. So this is also a liquid blush formula and it has a softly dewy finish. It's just not quite as glossy as the M Cosmetics. And I think that these are a little less pigmented as well. So you definitely get a very soft color that's very easy to blend, again, with fingers or with your sponge or with a brush or with a cushion puff. I very much enjoyed those and they're quite inexpensive as well. All right, let's move on to eyes. I didn't use a whole bunch of like eyeshadow palettes in 2020. I tried on a few occasions to do like a big eyeshadow look with an amazing new eyeshadow palette, and every time it was like, whoa, this just feels like a lot. It felt like a lot for, you know, a Tuesday afternoon at home in lockdown. So one of the eyeshadows that I found myself reaching for constantly is the Kosas 10-second eyeshadow. This is a liquid eyeshadow that I would say is a little bit translucent. You just slap it on with the doe foot applicator and you can either tap out the edges or use any fluffy eye brush. And the shade is gorgeous. It's like this reflective, juicy champagne, warm champagne. For me, the exceptional thing about this eyeshadow is the texture. So I mentioned this in a previous video, but oftentimes when I go to wear a powder eyeshadow nowadays, I feel like my eyelids look cakey. Texturally, it just feels like globby and kind of not the fresh, dewy, juicy texture that I want from my skin. This makes my eyelids look juicy. It gives it almost like a wet shine. I'm wearing it today and it just feels really lightweight and nourishing, maybe even on the eyelids, and I don't get any sort of dryness or cakey effect on my eyes. I wouldn't describe it as creaseless. I do find that towards the end of the day, I'll get a little bit of movement and creasing where my eyelid naturally folds. I don't really mind so much. It's really easy to just sort of pat out, not very obvious at all. But if creasing is a deal breaker for you, do note that. I have an eyeliner here. This is the Sisley Phyto Khol Star Waterproof in this gorgeous browny bronzy shade. So in 2020 with my oily skin, I noticed that all my makeup was migrating more. My eyeshadow that I was placing on my lower lash line was migrating underneath my eyes and making my under eye area look really messy. It just wasn't as kind of crisp and clean as I would have liked. And so I started using eyeliner exclusively on my lower lash line, waterproof eyeliner that doesn't migrate and move around. It was a game changer for me. Your under eye area is really clear and fresh. Love that. And then I have 3 mascaras. Again, I tried so many mascaras in 2020 because, I wasn't wearing my false lashes, I didn't have my lash extensions, and so I really kind of threw myself into this challenge. What are the best mascaras out there? And I think I have found my answer. So perhaps my all-time favorite is the Huda Beauty Legit Lashes. This is a double-ended mascara, so on one side you have a volumizing wand that I never use. I never use it. My favorite side is definitely the curl and length. This is a slightly curved plastic comb. I've only recently come around to the plastic comb idea. For a long time I liked a big natural bristly brush. This is my new obsession because it really separates each lash and it gives you a lot of length and a lot of curl. There's not a lot of volume going on here. This is more about that really wide open Bambi sort of eye look. I found that the longevity was also phenomenal. I don't get any real smudging even when I wear this to my sweaty PT sessions. That would be my top pick. The other honorable mentions that I really enjoyed are the Fenty Full Frontal Mascara. So this has perhaps a little bit more of a traditional wand. This one is a Marmite product. I spoke to a lot of my friends in the beauty industry and it appears that you either love it or you hate it. The interesting thing about this mascara is that you have to kind of labor over it a little bit. The first coat, so natural, so natural. The second coat, still natural. Third coat, kind of veering into medium territory. So there is a little bit of labor involved, but if you can be bothered, the outcome is stunning. It gives a lot of separation and length and curl. Again, not super volumizing, but definitely a very wide-eyed, beautiful effect. And I do find the longevity on that one to be good. And then finally, one of my more recent discoveries, this is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Push-Up Lashes, which is another plastic comb wand. Again, this one just separates each lash and gives a lot of curl, and the curl holds. The curl holds for hours and hours and hours. I find that even later that night, my lashes are still facing up. If you've been subscribed to this channel for a while, you'll know that I've just been looking for my holy grail brow pencil for what seems like forever. And nothing has been quite right. And I don't want to talk too soon. I don't want to speak too soon, but I think I might be close to finding a brow holy grail. This is the Nabla Cosmetics Brow Divine in the shade Neptune. It's the perfect stiffness. Sometimes brow pencils are too soft and you get a very blurry effect, and sometimes they're too hard and you feel like you're kind of scraping away at your skin. This is the perfect medium. You're able to get a really nice kind of hair-like stroke with this pencil. I'm also really wowed by the color. I don't know if it's necessarily my brow hair or something to do with my skin chemistry, but all brow pencils turn orange on me. Like you can see the orange between my naturally ashy brow hairs and it's so obvious and it kills my vibe. So yeah, I'm always looking for a brow pencil that looks ashy in my brows, and this shade here, Neptune, this shade is perfectly ashy without being too dark. Because oftentimes when you select the ashy brow shade in a lineup, it's super dark. This is more of a medium depth ashy shade. Nabla has a lot of beautiful products. I feel like that's a really underrated brand, actually. And then for brow gel, my most used is probably the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter. I've got a new little trick though. Once I've brushed my hairs directly up, I'll just press them down with my finger, and I find that you get a little bit better hold that way. The brow hairs definitely remain brushed up and bushy and fluffy and feathery for much longer. As I said, with this Accutane experience, I feel like I've sort of gone off lip products entirely because it's just a big textural mess. But I do want to mention two lip products that I used a lot this year. This is the Nabla Cupid's Bow Full Color Stylo. The color is really beautiful. It's a slightly desaturated nude shade, which is nice because I'm often trying to kind of pale down and pare down my lips a little bit, and I feel like this works really well for that purpose. I'm wearing it today with a little bit of lip balm as I would normally wear it. It goes with every eye look possible. And then in a similar vein, I have the M Cosmetics Soft Blur Velvet Lip Liner in Fawn. This is actually a very similar formula to the Nabla lip liner that I just mentioned. Oh, and also a very similar color. My God, I'm so predictable. Both of these lip products are quite silicone heavy, so they've got that kind of velvety, slippery feel to them. They don't really set on the lips. They're very comfortable. They don't crumble or look dry throughout the day. Yeah, actually, you know what? Maybe this one is slightly peachier and this one a little bit browner. I mean, we're splitting hairs, but you know. If you are interested to hear about my hair favorites, my fragrance favorites, fitness and fashion, I will be uploading a second video, more of like a lifestyle 2020 favorites. I'll link that in the description box if you want to watch that. I hope that you guys are having the best day. I want to know, what are your 2020 favorites? Let me know in the comment section down below if you found any real standout amazing makeup or skincare items. I want to hear about that. One of my favorite things actually is when I upload a video, going and reading your comments. It's just, yeah, it makes me feel good, and I'm just so grateful that you guys are here on this journey with me. 2020, weird one. 2021, hopefully better. I hope that you guys are having the best day, and I shall speak to you all very soon. Bye.